Squeezing the slack out of the bar is an important cue that we use during the very beginning of the deadlift to help you maintain your start position as you start to take the weight off of the floor. If your coach finds, or if you notice that as you begin the pull off the floor, you're losing position really quickly, and by that I mean maybe your back is rounding or you're shifting forward into your toes, or even during the pull if you notice that the bar is coming off of your shins, coming back to the beginning and taking the time to squeeze the slack out of the bar can actually solve a ton of those problems, maybe all of them. And what I mean by squeezing the slack out of the bar is taking the time to get to a point where all the slack out of this barbell system, and by that I mean the bend that's going to come out of this bar and the space between the bar and the plates at the end, is eliminated, and all the slack and the tension that we don't have yet in the lifter system is pulled out. So we get to a point where you, the lifter, and the barbell get to a point where they're both very rigid. And they're gonna get to the point of being as rigid as they need to be for you to move the bar instead of the bar to move you. So, Andrew, if you would, show us what it means to pull the bend out of the bar or to squeeze the slack out of the bar without actually moving the bar. And what you'll notice as Andrew gets into a setup, he's gonna squeeze the bar tightly, he's gonna keep his grip. As soon as he gets going, you'll see the wrinkles come out of the shirt, and you'll notice the bend in the center of the bar. Very good, nice, cool. So at that point, it's helpful to even imagine that while this bar is loaded to 405, he's basically already pulling maybe 300 pounds of that off of the floor. So as you do your deadlift, and as you go through the phase of squeezing the slack out of the bar, imagine that you're pulling up one plate at a time from the middle of the bar going outward. So if you're pulling 275, squeeze out 165 pounds at the very beginning. And you'll notice when you really nail this, it feels like, especially as you're warming up and the weights are really light, like the bar starts to float for the very beginning. You're really kind of getting through that point where most of the weight towards the center of the bar is taken care of just during your setup. And then when you're ready to extend your hips and your knees, the rest of the weight almost pops off of the floor. So now, Andrew, let's see a full rep where you squeeze the bar, pulls the slack out of the bar, pulls the bend out of the bar, peels the plates off from the inside, and then go ahead and finish the rep. So while Andrew pulls during the very beginning, as pound by pound he starts to take it off of the floor, his setup position is maintained beautifully. So his back extension is intact, his hip position doesn't lurch forward, nor does it drop, and his shoulders stay right where we need them to be so that he can pull the weight optimally. What we're trying to do, again, is to make sure the barbell isn't going to pull you out of position, and that has a lot to do with how you're connected to it, which is through your hands. So if you're not squeezing the bar or using the strongest grip, all the work that you do in your setup isn't gonna make it through to the bar. So remember, while you're taking the bar during your setup, grab the bar tightly. You don't want to have any slack in your grip because you're not going to be able to pull through that. It's not a strong connection. So squeezing the slack out of the bar has a lot to do with you maintaining your grip on the barbell. You'll know that you're doing this properly if you feel the weight in your feet start to get heavier and heavier and heavier. Because remember, in the beginning, it's just your body weight. But by the time you get to the top, it's your body weight plus all the weight that you're deadlifting. So as you're squeezing the slack out of the bar, imagine that your feet are really pressing into the floor more and more and more. And that's a great time to check and make sure your full foot is pressing into the floor, not so much in your toes and not too heavy in your heels. To squeeze out some more knowledge about deadlifting and for more tips, be sure to check out these links here.